Right here on KUTV's Biashara Tuesday, that is Rise Today, right here on Kenyatta University Television from the main campus. And you know, when it's Tuesday, is all about business. It's conversation surrounding business, how to start your business. If you're a seasoned entrepreneur, how do you maintain or keep your business going? And today specifically, we'll be talking about how to grow your business or how to ensure that your business keeps growing. That is the discussion that you're going to be having this morning. But before we get into so much details of what we are having on the show this morning, you know that when it's Tuesday, we're always keeping you informed. And right here in the capital, it is quite chilly this morning. And the environment surrounding Nairobi Central Business District, that is around the capital of Kenya, we have, the weather is very chilly, but right here in studio it is quite warm. That's why you're seeing me not dressing so heavily as it is outside. But as of today, so much is happening in the country, especially in the world of politics, in the world, you know, everything that shapes you as that shapes your world as a Kenyan. And that is what we are about to be informing you this morning. Just to set us off, we'll begin to take a look at what is happening in different spheres or in different areas, and we'll be taking a look at the state of our nation, where we'll be looking at different headlines in the country, that is on different newspapers in the country, the dailies this morning. And just a brief, if you're on social media in Kenya currently, you know that we are a generation where we don't need to wait for news to break, because we break the news ourselves. So if you're in Kenya right now, you understand that the political temperatures are quite high. Agitation among citizens that, you know, our leaders are engaging in early politics is currently going on. That discussion is ongoing. We also have the health system or the health sector also having their own issues, where we have the health cabinet secretary saying that there's going to be a 3-month campaign to end maternal deaths, and this has come as a warning after several reports, you know, on increased maternal death and negligence of our health professionals. So we also have that in the health sector. In the education sector, it is a little bit connected to the health sector, where we've had different cases of different scenarios where students lose their lives in school, and we've had several, you know, protests with parents. Yesterday we had a parent wheeling his dead son to school after he released his son in the morning, and then the son died in school later during the day. And they went and, you know, took their son and wheeled him, demanding to get answers. So that is just in the world of education. And now coming on to the world of climate, or the sector of climate, we have the northern part of the country experiencing severe drought, and they'll be experiencing late rainfall. That is the March, April, May rainfall. They'll be receiving late rainfall and minimal amount of rainfall compared to other seasons. And this has prompted, you know, call for aid, especially those who are having who can donate to those areas. They're called upon, you know, to give back to those areas. And also, as the northern part of the country experiences drought, we have other regions in the country which are currently experiencing heavy rainfall, and this has affected their businesses, including those people coming from, you know, the Nyanza region. They're experiencing very extreme rainfall that has destroyed properties, disrupted businesses and transport operations as they move from one place to another. So if you're having a business, or if you're an entrepreneur in the agricultural sector, you may want to check in with the Kenya Met on what they have to offer. And now, when I look at newspapers this morning, I'm taking a look at, let's begin with the Standard, the bold newspaper. They're talking of shameless CSS, and this they have given photos of Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi. We have Mining CS Hassan Joho. We have Energy CS, that is Opio Wandai. We have Public Service CS Geoffrey Ruku, and another CS that has also been mentioned is Wycliffe Ombatsa Oparanya, who has also been mentioned of engaging in early campaigns. And of course, they're saying that this is not something that is against the law, but we have the Constitution saying that any public servant is not allowed to engage in politics that will portray him choosing a side in government. They should ensure neutrality in the office they serve. And we have the newspaper, The Standard, saying that shameless CSS, and this is in relation to the current campaigns that are ongoing. And of course, this is the two-term narrative. The 4 CSS that are mentioned, that is Mbadi, Oparanya, Wandai, and of course Hassan Joho are from the ODM faction, the Linda Ground faction, who are moving forward the agenda of having President William Ruto get back to office for the second term. Of course, we also have Geoffrey Ruku, who has also been so vocal on ensuring that Kindiki maintains his position as the deputy president, and we've heard him recently saying that the ODM faction should support President William Ruto come 2027, and then they will get the deputy position in 2032, deputizing Professor Kithure Kindiki. So that has been the narrative that has been moved by of course, the Public Service Cabinet Secretary. And also we have another story. The Standard is today divided into 2, shameless CSS, and then the downer part, they're talking of united opposition storms Gosiland. And this is a combination of leaders. That is the DCP, led by DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy Jubilee Party leader Fred Matiang'i. We have Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. We have DAP Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa. We have George Natembeya. Those leaders, they came together yesterday at the Gusii community. They have their trail. They'll be pitching camp in the Gusii community for the next 7 days, and this follows the endorsement of Fred Matiang'i as the voice of the Gusii community, an event that happened yesterday. And right now they are piling pressure on President William Ruto, telling him to read the ground. And we've heard Matiang'i saying that alichunga mtihani na mtihani haikuibiwa, akimaanisha kura yake haitaibiwa. So that is on the opposition politics. Moving on to the Daily Nation this morning, they're talking of what's killing Kenyans. And that's a story that is talking of diseases that are lifestyle-based diseases. This is different from what we had previously, where we had malaria killing many people. But right now we have diseases that are killing people. They are more of lifestyle diseases, and that story is given prominence, of course, on the Daily Nation. This is in relation to a discussion that we shall be having this morning also. We'll also have this discussion centered on, the natural phytotherapy using, plants and herbs. And that discussion will also touch on this. How can we prevent such diseases? They've given the figures there. With a population of 48 million, Kenya requires 37,392 doctors. The current figure is at 4,272. They're talking of 281,472 nurses. They are currently at 48,672. And to plug the shortage of medics, every year, Kenya needs to add 3,800 doctors and 20,000 nurses. And when old killers meet new ones, percentage of deaths from infectious diseases versus the percentage of deaths from non-communicable diseases. They have given that graph, where right now, as of 2023, infectious diseases and non-communicable diseases as of 2023, they are competing at 40 and 40%. In 1990, the infectious diseases was at 75%, whereas non-communicable diseases was at 75%. Right now, they are at bar, if you look at the graph. And that story is given. You can also follow up that story on the Daily Nation. They're also talking of other stories in politics. Opposition steps up pressure on Kenya Kwanza and Gusii tour. That story is also given prominence on the Daily Nation. And also they are talking of appeal for surplus maize for North Rift to feed starving Kenyans. That is also in relation to the current drought that is ongoing in the northern part of the country. And also another story there is Wamatangi appears before Senate despite governor's defiance. You remember, around 2 weeks ago, we had the governors who met in the coastal region saying that they will not be attending, the Senate sittings where they're to be audited And this is in relation to the claims that they made of, extortion, intimidation from the senators who are demanding huge sums of money for their cases to be, passed on, for them to turn a blind eye on a number of things. But Wamatangi is among those governors that have defied that directive by the Council of Governors. And right now, he appeared before the Senate committee. And just as to mention that he was also said to be among the working governors in the country. And that is Gerard Gay was saying that he is among the governors who was transformed Kiambu County. And I don't know how true that is because I don't have the figures. Let me go by that. Moving on to the People Daily. They're talking of disruptor effect reshaping Kenya's 2027 political landscape. And that is a story focusing on the rise of Mimi Ndio Sifuna. And this is a talk of the young people rising in the political spaces. And we've had, I don't know if we should call him ODM Secretary General or we should call him former ODM Secretary General. But all the same, that is Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna has been becoming popular recently. And this, his popularity has majorly been shaped by the support of the young people. But something really interesting happened yesterday. Following it is called the United Alternative Government. That is the faction led by, Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, James Orengo, and the likes. After their meeting in Kakamega, we've had youths come out yesterday saying that tulikuja mboka na hatukulipwa. So it brings a question, are all these political rallies paid for? Are all this crowd paid to attend these rallies? I don't know your thoughts on the same, but you are the one to judge. It has been accused that President William Ruto has been paying people, has been paying masses to come and attend his rallies. But also we are seeing the same accusations in relation to, this faction, the United Alternative Government faction. We've also had those claims. So we don't know if it is indeed true that it is them or, it's a scheme. In politics, you can never trust anything. Moving on to the Star, they're talking of from Kisumu slum to political power. This also is in relation to the rising force by the young people, and it's a story or a feature on Babu Owino, was born and raised in Kisumu, and currently, is now the talk of the nation. And Babu Owino was asked that between Sifuna and himself, who is the leader? And the answer that he gave, the sun shines in the day and the moon shines in the night. So there is no competition, but just completion. So the two have been really a talk of town, causing chaos. Let me not say chaos, causing, tumbo joto, both in the ODM party and of course for the ruling party. And right now they have not decided which faction they're joining, whether it's the United Opposition or the Kenya Cause Administration, that United Pact. But of course they're calling themselves the United Alternative Government. Also, another story given prominence on the Star. They're talking of rigged system, ethnic groups running top state jobs, and this the prominent communities is the Kalenjin, Kikuyu, Meru, Luo, and the Somali communities. These are the ones that are running most positions in the country. And just to give you the figures that are given over there, they're talking of principal secretaries. There are 53 posts in the principal secretary's position, and Kalenjins hold 12 positions, Kikuyus hold 8 positions, the Meru community hold 6 positions, Luo community hold 5 positions, and the Somali community hold 3 positions. CEOs and VCs, currently there are 248 posts. Kikuyus hold 53 posts, Kalenjins hold 44 slots. The Luya community hold 30 slots, the Luo community 24, Kisi community 18, Kamba community 18. Constitutional commissions, there are 44 posts currently. Kalenjin holds 7, Kikuyu 6, Luya 6, Luos 5, Borana 2, Gabra 2, Swahili 1. And state corporation boards, there are 1,936 posts currently. Kikuyus hold 444 posts, Kalenjin 316, The Luo community 207, Luya community 197, Kamba community 141, and finally Kisi community hold 124 positions. So in as much as we are moving away from the conversation surrounding ethnic shareholding and communities or tribal politics as of positions held in the country, this conversation cannot go without it being mentioned. That story, you can also follow up on that story on page 4 and 5 of the Star. Another story on the Star, they're talking of judge dissolves Satan in case of murder of 6-year-old girl, and this is a case that it's something that is very common if you're raised in Kenya, or generally you will understand this, that when someone does something that is not good, they will always say, sijui ni nini linikujia, I think ni shetani. Those who are married understand this more. Sijui ni nini linikujia, ni shetani. So a judge dissolves that, saying that the perpetrators will be held accountable. Another story, that story is on page 3 of the Star. You can also follow that on the Star. Another story on page 2 of the Star, medics probe to infection cases after anti-HIV shot. And there is the vaccine that the anti-HIV shot that has landed in the country, and it's going to be distributed in 3 batches, 15 counties, and 17 counties finally. And what you need to know before taking that virus is that vaccine is that you should be HIV negative. If you're using how do I call them, this medicine to boost your strength, let me say strength, you're supposed to be using it in low loads. That is, if you're using Viagra and such kind of drugs, you're supposed to be using it on low loads. If you're using TB, you're on TB medication, you won't be given that vaccination. So it is in the country, yes, but not everyone who is at risk of infection will be eligible to get that vaccine. It is different from what we used to have, the PrEP and the likes, because this one you're going to be taking 6 months without having to take PrEP and other drugs. So it is 96% effective if you're negative and you engage with someone who is positive. You've taken the vaccine, the dose, you're going to be safe for a period of 6 months, and then you'll be renewing the vaccination, or you'll be taking the vaccination once after every 6 months. So that is in the country. I thought you should know that. And it's not eligible for everyone. So before you take it, consult with your doctor. And also, if you are exposed to the virus 72 hours before the time you want to take that vaccine, it's best advised that you don't take it, because it might backfire. So it is purely for those who are negative and sure that they're negative. Okay, now another story on the Star, they're talking of public funds at stake, why accountability in counties is under strain. They're talking of Nicholas Okumu, when privilege becomes personal time to speak. That story is on the Star. Moving on to a different newspaper this morning, we are looking at Taifa Leo, ambao wanasema upinzani mawindoni Gusii. That's the same story we're talking about, where the united opposition has pitched camp in the Gusii community. And I don't know if they're going to be going with the Azimio coalition, because we don't know at the moment. But like Gachagua said, that yoyote atakayesimama tutamuunga mkono. And remember, Martha Karua also said that she's not running as a running mate. She has the skill, she has the exposure. She's no longer running as a running mate, but she says whoever will be voted in, she will be supporting the same person. And she's currently not in the united opposition rallies because she's currently out of the country in Uganda. Another story given prominence on Taifa Leo, wanasema kwamba magavana na maseneta wazozana. That's in relation to the extortion claims that was before. And Kindiki ahimiza amani, mkazi akiuawa Mbere. Hadithi nyingine ambayo imepewa kipaumbele katika gazeti la Taifa Leo, zogo la hospitali ya War Memorial la tesa wagonjwa. Those are the stories that are given prominence on the Taifa Leo. Pia wanazungumzia koti yaomba bunge libadili sheria ya urithi, and this is in support of ladies. Ladies, you are always supported in this country. This is in support of ladies, especially in when divorced and now they have decided to remarry, to remarry to someone else. And this is a plea to change the laws of how property or wealth is divided, especially after divorce. And calling wa sporty, PSG waanza kumezea mate Haaland. Hadithi hiyo utaipata katika ukurasa wa 13 hadi ukurasa wa 20 katika gazeti la Taifa Leo. On the Business Daily, something that you should also be keen on as a Kenyan, because this of course touches your pocket. Eurobond buyback deal cost taxpayers 7.3 billion Kenyan shillings. And currently, Kenya is having a buying back strategy where the bonds, the Eurobond that was purchased that needs to be expiring around 2028, 2032, Kenya is now asking those investors who purchased the bonds to resell their bonds at premium prices, as Kenya looks for other investors to buy different bonds that will mature later. And this is something that, of course, there is the negative part of it, because it's not like we are now being very prudent in how we borrow our money, or we are now, lifting the debt burden. But of course, we are just postponing it. This is what is happening, that those who had purchased bonds that are supposed to be maturing around 2028, 2032, the government is buying back and at premium prices. And this is in relation to other bonds are being bought, and as they buy, the money is used to pay those who bought the bonds, the ones that I'm saying are being bought at premium prices, and they will be maturing at later dates, between 7 to 12 years later, to avoid payment pressure that is around at the same place. And why I'm telling you to look at this as on the positive side of it, this is just to strengthen, investors' confidence in the country, in the country's bond, and to avoid a situation where all the bonds are maturing around the same time, and now the country is struggling to buy, to purchase the dollar, and then there is a spike in prices of the dollar, and then in turn it weakens the Kenyan shilling. So this is a strategy to ensure that that does not happen, and also it's a strategy to ensure that taxes do not spike at the time when the country is supposed to be paying for the debt. It ensures that taxes do not spike, to ensure that those funds are available for repayment. So in as much as we are saying that, of course, there will be losses, because, it's like unachukua loan Equity, kulipa loan enye ulikopa loan ina expire Wednesday, so ulikopa Equity ina expire Wednesday, so unaenda KCB unalipa Equity, but still you have loan with KCB. That's what I'm saying. So it's just a matter of postponing it. It's a little bit expensive, but when you look at it on the positive side, it also helps strengthen investors' confidence in the country. Other stories given prominence on the Business Daily, they're taking off state tax on Uber, Bolt with on a JKI taxi hailing app. Of course, this is a call to investors and those who are capable of developing apps, and system that can allow the formation of an app or a system where Kenyan drivers have their own app that will run JKA. So in short, Bolt, Uber wanatolewa JKA, and then Kenya is bringing a new, app or company to run the day-to-day activities around JKIA. That is on the Business Daily. Another story on the Business Daily, they're talking of US investors sue city developer over botched off-plan deal. They're talking of NetBank guaranteed controlling 51.7% stake at NCBA. So why these stories are important to you is if you're an investor and you're interested in buying stocks, this is where you understand which company is best for you to buy stock from. And because you will be looking at how is the performance, the board of management, who are they, Are they prudent people? Are they people you can trust? Are they people with a vision? This company you want to invest in, is it a company that is going to be growing in the future? Is it a company that you can trust for it to, give you dividends and of course greater interest? Is it a company that when you want to, there is liquidity where you want to buy and sell your shares, it is very efficient for you? This is why these stories are important to you. So get your copy of the Business Daily and follow through the stories in the Business Daily. Of course, looking at different those are the newspapers that you're having this morning in the country. And lastly, we have MyGov talking about all blocks, T6 and T17 expected to generate billions, says Treasury. That story is on MyGov. You can always follow up with those stories. So those are the updates that we're having for you on the newspaper this morning. The newspapers this morning, and of course, feel free to get the newspaper and follow it, and look deeper into the stories. The discussions that you are going to be having this morning, you are going to be having a discussion on building sustainable business growth, and this is especially for young entrepreneurs. Remember, I didn't say young people, I said young entrepreneurs. You might be 40 and you have your business struggling, so that means, or you're starting up a business, that means you're a young entrepreneur. That discussion, you're going to be joined by CPA Professor Elizabeth Kalunda, who is an Associate Professor and Finance at USIU Africa. And I will also be joined by Paulette Karanja, who is also the President of the Finance Society right here in Kenyatta University. Another discussion that you're going to be having this morning is building a sustainable herbal wellness brand in Kenya. We've had the Daily Nation talking of the wellness diseases, lifestyle diseases that are currently leading to more deaths than before. And Stella Njagi, who is the founder and CEO of Spills of Eden, will be joining us this morning to help us understand that discussion further. I want us to take a look at what is shaping the world on the roads and of course the weather situation.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Are you ready to take charge of your health? Welcome to Focus on Health, your weekly guide to staying informed and living better. Join me every week as I sit down with trusted medical experts.
Gynecology is basically a field concerned with mainly the female genitalia.
Explore real-life stories
during when the patient come in,
and bring you updates and tips that are beneficial to your health. Because health isn't just important, it is everything. Tune in to Focus on Health every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. I'm your host, Kandia Marian, and I'll see you then.
A new era, a new people. This is the Law Matters Show. A program that brings you legal sensitization on your television.
My statement is written and just the quote the prosecution.
I think that this loss is a setback for Raila Odinga.
What policy recommendations were fronted by the candidate?
With diversity, we demystify important legal issues locally, regionally, and internationally.
What Tanzanians.
Join me, Elvin Onsongo, as I bring you more insights on law matters.
We are looking at social issues. What is the problem? Is it the economy? Is it...
Law Matters Show, creating awareness, advocacy, and enhancing lives.
I'm going for the tall one. His legs look perfect for a good itch.
I don't know. I think I have a fever and I don't have any energy.
Yeah, like there's a war going on inside me.
It has to be the pond. Ponds, rivers, and we will keep snails inside them to show how people get sick.
Yeah, and we'll add pictures of safe water too.
Run safe, don't jump inside. Stay safe and let adults guide. Snails bring danger, don't you see? Safe water keeps you healthy. Bilharzia free.
Self-esteem issues because they have serious identity crisis. I spent a bit of time in the US and I have relatives there, and I didn't envy the crisis I would see in their children, because those children only speak the English language. But the society there will never accept them as anything else except foreigners. Yet these children, the identity that comes with language is not there. And in one of the cases, I spent Christmas with one of my cousins, and my cousin and the wife speak fluent Gikuyu. And we sat there, and when we want to speak very sensitive topics, we switch to Gikuyu. And the children get very agitated. They're asking, what are you talking about? Are you talking about us? They are completely alienated to the conversation that we are having with their parents. Honestly, if it's worth nothing else but to ensure every child, if you look at the core competencies that we have come up with for the competency-based education, there are 7 of them: communication and collaboration, critical thinking and problem solving, imagination and creativity, learning to learn, citizenship, digital literacy. The one on self-efficacy is the most important. We must make sure that every child who goes through our school system, even if they exit with the lowest grade available, at least they have a sense of who they are. They have self-awareness. They are easily influenced because they don't know who they are. Actually, you look at some of those children, you sympathize with them because they are speaking English, but the English they are speaking is not English. The Kiswahili they are speaking is not Kiswahili. They can't speak their mother tongue. So what language are they speaking? So honestly, those of you who are my age mates and older, you will not enter heaven if you don't fix this one. The second issue is in the space of learning. 70% of Kenyans are in the rural areas. They're not in the urban areas. Only 30% are in the urban. In those spaces in the rural areas, most of the parents there are not proficient or literate in the English language. Those children have a challenge in benefiting from their parents supporting them, going back to the theory that Dr. Awiti is alluding to, social constructivism theory, scaffolding. The parent cannot scaffold the learning process, not because they are idiots, but because the language being used is not familiar to them. Parents understand a lot of constructs in the curriculum. Dr. Njogu, you are in the space of biology. Parents in the rural areas understand the process of planting and germination better than even the teacher. If you are discussing digestive system, parents understand. It's only that now that word digestive system alienates them from the process. If you used the Gikuyu language and you ask the parents, tell me what conditions are important for a seed to germinate. Do you think there's any parent in the rural areas who doesn't know that? They know. You need water. You need light. They know all these things. But when that is presented in a foreign language, the parent feels like they can't support their child's learning journey. So we need to deconstruct learning and separate it from the language in which the constructs are presented. That's actually the work that I spent with Malaysians, because they were looking at the STEM and asking, how do we improve the performance of our children in the STEM subjects? And I went there to help them understand that STEM is best understood when the construct is presented in the language the child understands. So in Kenya, the child is battling with the language and the construct. So they get lost somewhere there because they have not mastered the terms in English. But if you were to present that term in the language they understand, that's why you find industrialization in the global south, especially sub-Saharan Africa, is becoming a problem. You go to Gekomba, the innovations that are happening there, those innovations are not being presented in English. But those guys can innovate anything. The last point, I'm very excited that we have quite a number of people who are saying that they want to collaborate with us. Please, we have a symposium coming up in the month of April. And yesterday we had a very robust engagement with UNESCO, International Bureau of Education, UNESCO Institute of Statistics, and all these other players, and NATCOM, and we agreed that we have to start putting indigenous languages in their rightful place. Let's not just make speeches. And after the speeches, we go back. Next year we come, we make more speeches, and the next year more speeches. Let us start to break the cycle. Let us start to deal with the lowest hanging fruit, as we also aim at the highest sitting fruit. So all those who are willing to renew with us, in the month of May, we have a national symposium, and we will adjust the program so that on one of the days, we will be discussing this issue of indigenous languages and their place in the competency-based education. Asanteni.
Thank you.
Unalonda ko umgaka nguno.
All right, welcome back. And you know, when you are seated, it's about to get down on conversation on business. And this morning, before we got on set, the conversation that was going on was with Dr. David Njegere, who is the CEO, Kenya National Examination Council. And just to mention that I think the problem that we're having right now is an upbringing problem that, you know, when you're growing up, you used to have unavalishwa mfupa because you used your mother tongue. I think that is now catching up with us, and we are trying to, you know, fast track the progress, because most young people right now don't even know their mother tongues. But I will ask comments from my guest here in studio, joining us for a discussion on ensuring that our businesses are growing. And allow me have the ladies in studio introduce themselves to us. Let me begin with you, Paulette.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. Good morning. My name is Paulette Karanja. I am a student here at Kenya University, and I also serve as the president, Finance Society of Kenya University. And I'm grateful to be here and share this conversation.
Good to have you back.
Thank you, thank you.
Once again, Prof.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sylvia, for giving me this invitation. By introduction, I'm CPA Professor Elizabeth Kalunda. I'm an associate professor at USIU Africa, where I teach finance and accounting. Besides that, I'm honored to be the chairman of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. And also, just to mention, I also sit in the board, board of trustees of KUTV, and this is where we enable just young students who are not able to afford fee for their professional courses, and we sponsor them. Yeah, thank you, and happy to be here with you.
That's very interesting. When I hear ladies who are above us talk of, you know, their credentials, I'm like, you know what, it's very possible, very possible. And of course, this is in a setup where young ladies are told that you cannot achieve your dreams without doing this. You know, like you're told when you get married, this will stop this will stop this. But then when you see ladies who are above you doing great things, it's very encouraging to us. So thank you so much for making time for us this morning. I'm sure we're going to have a very great experience with you, sharing from your knowledge. Tunasema tunachota maji kisimani. Yes, I'm sure we're going to be having a great time. Just from the conversation that was going on before, before we get into what we are to talk about this morning, I just want to get a brief comment of what you think about the current state of the uptake of mother tongue language, especially here in Kenya. Let me begin with the Prof.
Following the conversation and just looking at what has been happening in the past, it's quite unfortunate that the young Kenyans, especially of your generation, of your age, don't know their mother tongue, and this is because the issue of colonization that made us feel like our mother tongue is inferior. So most of the kids were taught to speak English or to speak Swahili. And the schools were not even fair to that system, because I remember when we were in school, we used to have something we used to call it a motto or something, where it was like a horn or a board written bad things. I'm speaking my language. Yeah, so that's catching up with us. Yeah, and the uptake of mother tongue is low, but it's good that we have maybe groups that are now starting to bring it up. I've seen there are colleges outside here that they teach mother tongue. So we as Kenyans and as Africans, we should embrace our culture, and our culture is reflected in our language. Yeah, thank you.
They say mwachamila? Nimtumwa.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prof. Pauline.
Thank you. Just to top up what Prof said, true culture is what is within us. You can take away what the authenticity that comes with culture, but unfortunately my generation is one that we've been affected with the montos, and you're speaking Kiswahili, and we come and realize we don't know, we only know anasikia lakini siwezi ongea. We are that time. But the good thing is that the Gen Alpha that is now behind us, they're also now trying to embrace their language. We can also see that also the people in diaspora, they're also taking classes to learn how to speak your own mother tongue, because it's beautiful. Africa is a beautiful culture. Africa is a beautiful country, and it's one thing that differentiates us all. And there's that beauty that when you just feel you belong because of that different language that you speak.
Thank you so much. I think I'm among the people you've mentioned directly. Next time you don't go through the chorus, you talk to me direct. Those people will say that you're not doing a scale like in Swezi. And then when you speak, someone is like, are you really speaking?
Actually, my children, because you are like my kids, they're in that generation, they hear, but they can't speak. And if they speak, you have to really just like put the words together to get the message. Yeah.
All right, now let's get into the discussion on business. And of course, today we are talking about building sustainable business growth for young entrepreneurs. Just to set us off, Prof, many people talk about growth, just to give an example, the brand Kylie Jenner, when she was beginning her, makeup company, that was around 2016, the name grew before the company actually grew, because she made the first 15,000 batches, and then quickly it sold out, probably because of her popularity and sort, because she was later published on the Forbes as, the youngest self-made billionaire, which was on paper, because in real sense that was not right. And when people were signing deals with the company, partnerships, and now the financial reports are coming out, they now realize that, what we had on social media was not the same as what you're hearing right now. So that is a mantra or a belief that most young entrepreneurs have come up with. If we take an example of people like in Kenya, let's talk of Aziad. When she came to, popularity, we may not know about the numbers, but then she came at the limelight. Then all of a sudden we have the airbags in partnership with Denry. And the business boomed very fast. Right now I don't know how popular the brand is, but then there is that quick escalation into fame, and the brand is big, everyone knows it, everyone wants to have the product. That is the belief that most young entrepreneurs, they go into business with it. So how true is this belief in real life?
Thank you for the examples that you've given. And for me, I believe when it comes to business growth, and especially now that our conversation is on sustainable business growth, this is about, it's not about businesses growing slowly. but it is about businesses growing smart. And when I look at that and looking at the examples that you've given, as an entrepreneur who is long-sighted, who wants a business that will survive many years to come and not be the part of the statistics of the businesses that fail within the first 2-5 years. What we need to know is that as an entrepreneur, you have to have that balance between growing faster and growing sustainably, which means you grow slowly, but you grow on the foundations of a good business. And when I talk about foundations of a good business, this is a business where you are going to be smart on the financial side, and that's an issue that most young people tend to ignore. So you must be money smart. You also have to be, and again, very key, you have to be operationally smart. By that I mean that you must have a business that is able to run, not a business that is maybe founded on likes and maybe TikTok, just followers. That's not business. And then finally, there must be alignment of the vision and your own vision, the vision of the business and the vision of the entrepreneur. So what I would say is that, and especially just giving advice to the young people, build businesses that are authentic, not businesses that it is the conversations or the likes or just the visibility that is up there, and yet there are no foundational issues of business. Yeah.
How do you know that you're on the right track of growth and you're not just bluffing?
Yeah, actually, you know you're in the right track if, one, your customers are repeat customers. If your customers are your friends, or customers will just buy it because you've sold whatever you are selling to them, these are not really customers. Your true test, which I'll call the acid test of business, is repeat customers. And why do you have repeat customers? Because they are happy with the product. And that now starts with the fundamental question: this business that you're opening or the services that you are offering, are they filling a need in the society? Are they filling in a gap? Or they are just hyping up, and then just to encourage you, maybe Sylvia, we don't want to tell you these things are not they are not good, or they are not meeting our needs. Yeah, so basically start with the need that is out there, and then try to come up with a product that is able to serve that need. There you'll be able to have the repeat customers, and very important, you should be able to take feedback. You can never be right at the first time, and we always say that feedback is breakfast for the winners, or for strategy. So just make sure that you ensure that you get feedback and you continuously improve your product.
Later on, we're going to talk about seasoned businesses, but let me get your insight, Paulette. How do you know that from maybe a consumer perspective or from a professional perspective? How would you get that, this business is actually going on a downward trajectory?
Thank you, Sylvia, for the question. And just to answer from a professional perspective is when we now see after the belief of what has been published. And as you had mentioned, the story about Kelijana and also Aziad, the common factor is that their digital presence and that created this narrative of who they are. And now as customers, we are able to believe. So blindly, brand visibility also affects on how the narrative that we have about our business. So when the trajectory that a business is not performing really well is when now we see, we can't see the product in the market. We see anonymous complaints from former employees. We are not getting paid. In Kenya, the recent situation is when Coco Networks is facing right now. And before the downfall, I used to say because Coco is also was part of the livelihood of many comrades here at Kenyatta University, and you could see young ladies and guys working with the bottle to go and get the paraffin, and then but you see now there are the ATMs. You see now the shopkeepers plastered that sticker hakuna mafuta. So with that trend, you see where's the oil. The business was really helping, but we can't see it. And part of now what Prof is saying, it's because as now from a professional perspective, the systems that were there were not working. And when the management is saying that, they're not acting towards it because since it was a funded funded project and also a sustainability project. So they were investors who had contributed or also funded the invested in the business, but you see those who are running are different type of people, and that has contributed to now when businesses are not working.
So it's in the systems. If you see faults in the system, what wakianza complain sana,
Yes.
there's a problem.
And
or
also
feedback.
failing to get feedback from the customers, and also paying concentration of what the customers are saying. Yes.
Right. Now, Prof, there are different set of businesses where some are seasonal businesses, like it's raining, I'm bringing jackets and all that. It's currently a dry season, I'm bringing tops, and clothes for the same. Or maybe in the food sector, you're doing business based on season. Ni season ya maembe, tunauza maembe. It's season of this, we are doing this. So if it's a seasonal business, are there shortcomings of ensuring growth in that business because you're constantly shifting posts?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Sylvia, for that question. But I would also want to just add into the question that you had asked, how would you know that a business is failing? Now, for businesses, I know for most entrepreneurs, the target is profit. Now, profit is for survival, and profit is just the difference between the buying price and the cost. So what remains? Yeah, so that is more of survival. One thing that will tell you whether you're in the right track or not is the cash flow, and that's the business to run on a day-to-day basis, because profits are book issues. You could be selling on credit, you could be buying on credit, so that one you have to be very careful. And then now going back to your question about the seasonality of business, for me that's a good model, and you can see the hawkers, that's what actually they employ, and every day you'll find them on the streets. Now, for a business to be sustainable, you should be able to know how to reinvest. And one way of reinvesting is looking at the market trends and bringing the products that are needed for that season. Remember, I said that a good business is a business that brings what consumers want. So if this is the season, it's a hot season, we can say it's our summer, then you can sell the sleeveless tops, you can sell things that are good for that period. If it is maembe, mangoes that are in season, and I'm happy to say I'm from the Maembe region, so it's our time to glow and shine. Yeah, so this is the season. Yeah, so that mindset, that intelligence to know what is selling is actually very good for business. Because for me, I believe a business should not be on aesthetics, just things that will be seen. And even the examples you gave were practically more on aesthetics. A business should be able to sell what is there, and you can get more sustainability and more cash flow if you're able to sell what is in season, because that is what will be from a demand supply perspective, that is what is going to be demanded at that time, so you'll be having it. And again, from that, it will mean actually even you just managing your stock, the working capital, how long you bring goods, how long they take to sell, you'll take advantage of that. So for me, what I would tell any young person and even any person running business, take advantage of the seasons.
All right, and what you mentioned made me think of companies like a big company. Since its inception, I think right now it's 60 years. Big is big. Does this make talk to us about consistency in business, and does this put people who are in seasonal business at risk? Because sometimes you may fail to project the right time to step out of a business, and then you end up having, like for example, when there was a trend of Crocs, and then you brought so many Crocs, people bought it, and then the market is flooded with sellers, like what they were saying recently on the Valentine season, that sellers are more than those in love, those who are supposed to be buying. So you are at a place where you have so much stock, less than like the market is flooded with sellers basically, and then there is someone else who has been consistent. Does this place them on the negative side?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. But looking at the examples that you've given, especially for a big company like Bika, this is a company that has been there for long. They are known for the writing materials, that's the pen, and they also remain competitive by changing maybe the look of the pens. Yeah, and then maybe fitting them for different season. You'll see when it is back to school, they are giving offers and all that. So there's a seasonality in terms of the peaks in their business, but they are known for writing materials. So we cannot compare that one to maybe somebody who keeps shifting the business because of their scale. Yeah, so when you start a business, you have to ask yourself, what is your model? Are you there long term? Big companies like EABL, Coca-Cola, they have to remain within their main product, and then they can bring other sub-products depending on the seasonality. But a young entrepreneur who is not investing on capital items, who is not manufacturing, you are definitely not limited to what you can sell. And looking at the issue of is that maybe good for you or is that not good for you? For me, I'll encourage any young person, any person who is you are not the manufacturer. Actually, you are free to sell anything that you want. But what you need is business intelligence. Business intelligence is only built you can take advantage of it on the moment, the time, the issue of timing. So if it is Valentine, why should you bring the flowers at that very moment? Or why can't you look at, this is what people have been bringing all the time, why can't we try to innovate it and make it slightly different? At least that way you're going to beat the market. Otherwise, if we do the herding behavior for us who are in finance, if everybody is selling plastic red roses and all of us are selling them, that is a business that is already flooded and it is doomed to fail. So be innovative, get something, think outside the box, but fit into the season, but be fast to act on that, because if you delay a bit, then that's going to mess you up. And the example you've given, there are even other examples that were so critical, that during the COVID period, there's some we used to use the masks and they were very expensive. So those who copied that business shipped their masks. By the time COVID was over, they were still over on the high seas. So you can imagine products that come that nobody need. So timing is very, very critical, which should be backed by business intelligence.
All right, you'll talk to us later about artificial, they call it artificial, the name is gone, I will think about it, artificial scarcity. We'll talk to us about that and how it affects business. But let me get comments from you, Paulette. What do you think about consistently moving from one business to another?
Thank you, Sylvia. From my perspective and as a student perspective, right now I can't start manufacturing I can't start manufacturing glasses. I can't start manufacturing let's say blouses, t-shirts. I don't know how to tailor, so but now I understand the concept of business and how to make profit. I understand the cost of going from here to Italy, get a few tops, and I go sell them to the School of Education, because people are going to attachment and they need formal clothes. That's the mindset I have, and I can't do that the whole year, because the market is not, the demand is not there the whole year, because people are not going to attachment if that's my market focus. So consistency will be, I identify the target at that point, I act fast, and then now able to shift to what the people demand. For big corporations, as we said, sustainability is equal to sustainability of the business is equals to consistency, and as currently innovation is part of what every business needs. These big corporations are investing in research and development departments. Why? Because as she has mentioned, Prof, that Big has consistently made manufacturing writing materials, but they tune it to what the market demands. I can't use the same pen that a CEO uses to sign deals. They tailor it to what they want. But to say their consistency is how effective is the product that we are creating that is going to match what the market is. And market has different consumers. We are different people. We consume things differently, and companies take note of that. And for them, as much as they're creating different products, there's always that key aspect that they look and ensure that they maintain in the products that they give each and everyone out there.
All right. Now, Prof, I've had conversations with so many people who have begun their businesses and then the businesses fail, be it in, logistic companies, consultation companies, recreation companies. And sometimes you'll hear someone say that, I wish I had taken my time to learn on taxation and how it works. So there are things that people ignore when starting their businesses or assume. For example, someone may say that, I want to begin an eatery and I want to have 3 employees. I want to have an accountant and, people to serve. So how do you know that, this is very fast to have, like I am having employees, I am employing faster than the business can sustain it? Or when do you know the right time to have a professional in your business to ensure that there is, a smooth growth and not draining the business?
Okay, that's a good question, especially looking at the rate of failure of businesses. So what I would say, especially for just starting up a business, the most important thing is that you have to validate what you are building. If I'm doing an eatery, is that what is needed? And that's what we said. It's important to study the market, know the problem or the gap that you want to fill. And if you're able to do that, and without just being honest, reading the figures well, not just doing it because I've seen, Sylvia, you started a eatery, KU, there are students, and then I started. So one, make sure for you to validate the idea, talk to the people around. Who are your potential clients? Ask them, what do you think about me starting a business? You don't even have to say me starting. What do you think if there would be an eatery here? They would say, oh, this place is not good and such stuff. Or if it's at KU and students will close, so what will you be doing? So talk to at least 20 potential clients to get their view on what is needed. The next thing is for you, especially now and I'm talking to the students who are at the university, being at the university actually gives you a very big advantage because you have so much to learn from and even ask from the big population. You have the faculty who can assist you in what to do. You have incubation hubs. So that avenue, you can use that avenue to enrich the business that now you have now conceptualized. And again, another important thing is that start a business that you understand well. Don't do it because Sylvia or Paulette has done it. What are you good in? And I would want to give an example of a farm that we started. This is an investment farm that is called Lofty Coban. Now, this farm is a money market farm. It's an investment farm. It's regulated, but how did we come up together? We came up together, teams of experts, guys who have been in the industry for long. They know how the business survives. They know how the business works. They've seen the gaps in the business. And from there, we were able to see, actually looking at the money market, that investment space, the people who don't have a lot of money are the ones who are left out. So we brought in a financial inclusion aspect, and we said our target will start even with students. With as little as 500, you can start it. Previously, money markets were known for people with a lot of money. So that was a gap that we did. And in our team, if you look at our key, actually, let me just call it the shareholders, who are the founders and the directors. These are people who have serious industry experience. We were not going to try it. We were doing something that we know. And our business has really gone. It's among the top, are really growing. We have been 3 years in the business. So do the business that you know. Do market research. Before we started doing that business, we had to study the market. We had to see what are the trends, what are the big farms or the existing farm missing. And from that information, we used it to make decisions. We used it to just leverage on technology. So what I'm saying is that you really need to know what you are doing. And then something else that is very critical that I just want to borrow from what we've said is that who did we employ? Because you asked, maybe you are saying I need this kind of people. We had to have a very clear plan that in year one, these are the staff that we are going to have. This is what will pay them. And all of them were on need basis. And since we were a regulated firm, we had the key staff that must be there. We had them on board. And then now we had to fill in the others because we know the business, we know the people who should be there. And we had at least enough money to take us through the period when, let me call it just the preliminary, when the business is starting. starting before we take offer fully. So we had all those plans. So looking at our business is a big business. Looking at small businesses, the same principles will actually hold. So make sure you really understand the business you are in, do proper market research, don't employ for the sake of employing. And these days, this is something that you'll find it everywhere. When you are employing, don't employ for the skills. Skills can always be learned. So have that as the bare minimum, but employ for character, because that's what will keep the business going, and that's what will bring people to your business. Not your CPA, not your BCom or anything, no, but how you make the customer feel. Yeah.
I love that you say employ on need basis, and also don't employ on skills, employ on character. I'll ask you a question about character, but I want to get this from you, Paulette. What do you think are the fundamental basics of a business as it starts? Are they probably within the first year?
Thank you. I think this conversation has come really timely for me, because my last paper is where we are having exams right now. It was on entrepreneurial finance, and that whole semester, Daktari has been preaching the gospel of having a business plan, and not just for big companies, but for startups. And I remember my cat was forming a company, and also if I want to have a startup, and I remember I was there writing a business plan for a company and how I want to be funded. And just to also answer now back to your question, and the fundamental thing for the first year is to borrow now what I've theoretically learned in class is being realistic in what you want, and also doing your due diligence in the product you want to onboard. And there's now the part of being realistic in the financial projections, because from where I sit as financial professionals, we deal with forecasting about the future based on the current trends or the previous trends that have been there. So for the first year, if I bring in a product, I have to have my financial statements forecast of what I want to do, of the costs that I'm going to incur, the expenses that are going to also affect me, and also the profits that I might be able to accrue from the operations. And it's evident not all businesses make profits in the first year, so that is also one thing that major entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs should have in mind, that we should not expect to have returns immediately, because the cash flows, if I start a business on credit, I won't have cash flows to depend on. The other thing is with time, character is one that makes businesses be sustainable. If I trust a brand for long, it's because of the character that has been there majorly, and not because of the product. Most of the businesses that are key players in the Kenyan industry, they have been there for long, but when you see how the discipline that they have, how they treat their customers, how they also approach us when they want to introduce a new product, is based on how who they are themselves, and the key aspects is character. They say character is equals to long-term sustainability. And as I was doing my research for the interview, it's when I learned that the three aspects, the three key factors for a sustainable business is the skills, consistency, and also character. Yeah.
On that note, Prof, talk to us about how bad character in employees and in business can really ruin the growth of the business.
And remember we said that when you are hiring, consider character first and then skills next. Now, businesses are not just about the product, but how you make the customers feel. And if a customer comes to your business, irrespective of how great your product is, and they don't feel respected, they don't feel honored, they don't feel appreciated for even coming and even just asking about your product, they'll never come again. And I'm sure you've been in situations where you say, I'll not go to that shop, that lady or that man talks to people very badly. Some businesses you go, you get in, and the person who is manning the business will not even bother to ask you what you want. That's a character issue. And I'm sure if the owner was there, things would have been different. So what I would say is that when you start a business, remember there's business culture. culture should ensure that the members or any employee in that business actually lives within certain values, and that is respecting customers, being warm when they come, talking to them well, being honest. Yeah, even maybe in terms of how much money you give, how you sell the product. And it's important to know that culture is something that is very difficult to change. So when you start your small business where you are maybe one, the culture that you will create starting with yourself is the same culture you'll show when you have one more employee on board. So make sure from the word go, as an entrepreneur, make sure the character that you want your business to have, which will be the culture, actually starts with you. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to change it up once your business has a reputation of having maybe a poor culture. So for me, I would say that's something very critical, and I would just say that culture begins with you, and when you're even one person, two people, or even a business with 200 people, it will never change because it's the same people. So get people with the right character besides the skills.
And I now understand why they always say that if I am referring you, I need to know who you are. And the reason why most people take referrals more than the applications that are posted, on social media platforms from nowhere. All right, now there's that aspect, something that I'm getting from this discussion, that character is very important. And also we've not talked about financial discipline. Paulette, please talk to us about financial discipline, because I understand that apart from character, because this has happened so much. You get to a restaurant, someone talks to you and you're like, why are you talking to? I'm not coming back, not knowing that's not the owner of the business. So silently, the owner of the business might be thinking, the business is hard. I'm not making sales, but in real sense, the problem is the employees. Talk to us about financial discipline, because there is this narrative that has been going on that if you're in business, you should plow your profit back into the business for at least 6 months or 3 months or so. But then there's an aspect of I'm not even paying myself. So talk to us about the balance between this, the financial discipline, and of course ensuring that you are alive, Ujakufa, as you do the business, trying to get profit back to the business.
Yes. Thank you, Sylvia, for that. I'll borrow my theoretical knowledge again. So as we are studying, we know that there are stages in entrepreneurship, and for the first stage, the seed stage, and also the startup stage, we are told the 70 to 80% of your profits, it's advisable you plow them back to your business to ensure sustainability, the long-term aspect of the business. That will be depending on the type of business that you're doing. Then for the next stages, once your business is now, it has grown to, it has also matured itself and it can be able to sustain itself, and you don't need to reinvest the bigger percentage, remembering that if you're investing 70 to 80, we have 20 or 30% remaining. I believe that will be enough to sustain you, not to start living posh lifestyle because now you have a business, which major young entrepreneurs that we see of my age, they always, because I own a business, there's this now lifestyle I want to live. Then there's also that aspect of differentiating your personal finance and your business, your personal expenses, and also your business money. Good thing we have there's the e-commerce right now, and you're able to budget and track your business expenditure, and also your personal, to differentiate your money that you use for personal life and also for the business. Safaricom has enabled us to have, there's the M-Pesa till, and also there's Pochi la Biashara for the business people, and also now there's M-Pesa where you just use it for your own money, which I think also that should enable you to build a financial discipline, for you to be able to have a good business for long and not be depending on your money for the business that's supposed to be helping the business itself to sustain itself. There's also that aspect of after now as the business has matured, you can be able to now focus on the other things for your personal money, and also benefit from the profits that you get, and also now the business can sustain itself.
Now, Prof, there's something that I mentioned earlier that I'll ask you. It was about artificial scarcities that are majorly created in the market. Of course, there are the artificial ones, but then there are also cases of weather economic shocks where something unexpected just comes in. Stocks rose, people bought of things like that, investors shifted or moved out and something like that, or a shift in focus, taxation and all that, and now suddenly raw materials are so expensive for you and the business cannot stand. So how do you ensure resilience in the midst of all these challenges that sometimes you cannot even think about?
Good. So in any market, you can never really predict with certainty. So they are likely to be shocks, as you've mentioned them, and these shocks will have some impact in the business. Now, some of these shocks you can maybe predict looking at patterns that are there, but others just come so suddenly. So from an agility, from a resilient point of view, a business should be able to read the changes very fast and then adapt their business model to fit into what is going to happen. Because it will be so unfortunate for a business to just be caught unawares and then it suddenly collapses. And also looking at, because you are mentioning at things like artificial scarcity and all that, I think currently in a market that has so many suppliers, sometimes it's not very easy to have those artificial maybe or let me call it hoarding, because that is what would be the case, where goods are being hoarded and then when the scarcity is there, the prices go up. So unless maybe in a market where the products are very few, but looking at the Kenyan market, that I've not seen that happening, because maybe it can happen in the agricultural sector, but you can see the goods are perishable. But with the free market that we have, that sometimes that not really happen. But since other shocks that are genuine can happen, it is important that for any business, always invest in getting more information about what is happening, so that you are not a spectator, and then learn how to adapt, because businesses will never be a straight line. And that is why when we started the conversation, there was this question of somebody who sells like everything and somebody who consistently deals with one product. So be able to adjust so that if an event that was not predicted or was not expected happens, you are still going to be on your foot. And another way to help you just manage the shocks is that whatever you get in your business, plow back something for the business. Otherwise, if you don't plow back, then you might not be able to take advantage of opportunities or shield yourself from certain risk. And when you are asking Pauletta in terms of just maybe how do you manage your finances, one important thing is that as an entrepreneur or a business person, pay yourself first. Because you can imagine working and there's no pay. It can make that business really discouraging, even for you to wake up every morning. So even if your business is not doing well, because what we are after is probably the profit, but I said the cash flow is the most important. Remember, a business is revenues and expenses. Ensure that your salary is part of the expenses that are there. And then if you want to plow back from your salary, that is now capital injection. So at least know that. Otherwise, I see most businesses where you have the entrepreneur not paying themselves, and it makes them feel like this job is just too much for me. Yeah.
All right. Now, as we bring this to an end, I'd like to take your final remarks.
Yes. So thank you, Sylvia. I believe currently, for what I'll just say for young entrepreneurs is access to capital to fund or start a business might be limited, but access to information is free in terms of how to plan your business, how to also have the financial discipline, how to build character, because we're all born unknowingly. But I believe with time, you know how to conduct yourself. You know what is good and right. So that is all out there for you to learn and also apply it where you want it to be, and also what you feel is applicable in what you want to have. So as much as we conclude, access to capital is limited, but access to information is free. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Paulette. Prof?
Yeah, for me, my closing remarks would be there's no perfect time to start a business. Have the plan and then just start. And with the knowledge that you have, you'll be able to make your business better. But this does not mean you just start because people are starting. Remember, we had put the fundamentals that you need to start the business. And for the youth in Kenya, because you fall in that category, there are so many avenues that are out there that you can use, you can leverage. The government has come up with so many opportunities, like the procurement where we have for the youth, which is 30%. Take advantage of that. Registering a business is so simple. You can have the advantage of your classmates. You can work together as business partners. So please just start now. There'll never be a perfect time, but there's something that I just felt it is important for us to talk about, and I'll be very brief. For us to have sustainable businesses, there are certain traps that you need to avoid, and I'll just name them. One, avoid scaling too fast. Don't grow too fast. Let your business grow progressively. And that even means in terms of the employees, in terms of how you're expanding, learn the business as you go on. So appreciate to grow organically. The other thing is that with the funding opportunities that are there, especially maybe loans or venture capital, avoid going for them too fast, because when they come in, they'll introduce very many new things which might actually derail you from the original course. So ensure you have some sufficient enough capital. You can bootstrap. You can try to make sure every shilling you have is stretched. The other thing is don't neglect your mental health. And especially these days with issues of mental health, take care of yourself. The business should not be a it's what is it called, a do or die thing. Yeah, but don't ignore yourself. You need that sanity to run that business successfully. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I love that you said consider your mental health first, because I heard someone in some podcast saying that sometimes people quit the 9-to-5 jobs thinking that it was training them, but then end up being slaves in their own businesses, because it's considered that the 9-to-5 was even paying them better than they're paying themselves in the 9-to-5 job. So thank you so much, ladies, for your time with us right here at Biashara Tuesday, KUTV. It has been a pleasure, and I'm so glad to also learn from you. So to our viewers back at home, if there is something that you need to get from this conversation, if you're going to have employees, ensure that you get to have people with character. And also as a business person, it's your business, also have character for yourself. And we are in a generation where someone say that I'm not going to work because I did not give permission to be born in this world. But then we're already here, so we have to do what we get to do. Coming up next is a discussion on phytotherapy. And stay tuned for that discussion.
But anyway, so we are going to just get a snapshot of the history. Watu wengi wanaulizanga ombudsman inamaanisha nini? Actually, many people used to think it's a Luo word because the first ombudsman was a Luo. Yeah? It was the Rarieda MP. So watu walikuwa nadhani ombudsman ni Kijaluo, but ombudsman is not a Luo word. It's actually a Swedish word. So we'll discuss about the history of the office of the ombudsman and look at our functions and the performance, and also now how then we come in as an institution. So at the end, I hope that at the end of the day you'll be able to go home and tell someone about the office of the ombudsman. Na utaweza kuelezea in terms of at least what we do and some of the functions and how then we work. So we start with a quote. An ombudsman has an obligation when it spots trouble and when it spots patterns, basically to speak truth to power. So you'll see that the reason why an institution like ours was formed is because we want to look at service delivery. So when you are offering services to the members of the public, you'll hear me saying so many times that hauwezi furahisha kila mtu, lazima utakosea mtu. And that is why, as an institution, it is important for you then to prepare to deal with these complaints as and when they arise. And to also see how then you can enable to improve on your services to ensure that then service delivery becomes seamless and to reduce the complaints that you receive, because you cannot just be dealing with complaints day in, day out. So some of the things that we handle is, as you've said, speaking truth to power. And here is just a caricature to, because we realized, I know we were taught adult learning. Now, when you are teaching adults, it's important for you to teach them something that is relevant to them. Na si kitu yenye iko na maneno mingi sana. Pictures are more memorable than writings. So this is the protection of their fundamental human rights. So that is what opens it up to include private entities. So private entities, as long as you can demonstrate that it is for the realization of your fundamental human rights, then it will fall within that ambit. And so this covers institutions like Safaricom. Safaricom, yes, it's a private entity, but you might want information, information on these days we receive so many call logs, statements. Those people normally request for information from such private entities. Other private entities is banks. Yes, it is a private entity, but because of the work that they do, people normally request for information. Maybe you've taken a loan and you feel like your loan wamekuongezea macharges zingine, so you request for information on maybe your bank balances, bank statements, bank loan repayment schedule. You can request for that information. Other private entities that you can request information from is like private hospitals. Maybe you've gone for services, you have been treated, daktari anakataa kukupea maybe your medical report. So those are some of the private entities that are covered under the Access to Information Act. You'll see as a commission we also do complaints on our own motion, or suo moto complaints, where we can look at something maybe online where we see it is something that touches on administrative issues, and then we follow up on the complaint on our own motion without someone coming to complain directly to us. The other aspect is the commission acts as a quasi-judicial body. So we are able to give decisions and orders that are binding, especially under the Access to Information Act. You'll see that once the commission has issued an order, then that order can be enforced as an order of the court. So once you get the order, you can go with it to court and enforce it. And this order ideally is just that you have requested for information from that institution, the institution has failed to provide or to respond the information, the commission has written to that institution following up on the information, and the institution has still failed to provide that information. So ultimately the commission issues an order. But because of the impact or the binding nature, we as a commission we try to work together with the institution to understand what then is causing the delay or why they are not responding. The other thing is that you'll see that the decisions of the orders or the decisions that have been issued by the commission may be appealed at the High Court. So in case you are dissatisfied with the order of the commission, you can go appeal the decision at the High Court. When it comes to now our second mandate on the promotion of administrative justice, you'll see that we do this through receiving complaints. Once we receive these complaints, we process them. We write to the institution to inquire into the complaint, understand what transpired, get the side of the institution, the side of the story from the institution, and then we issue a determination on what we have gathered or provide a way forward. So here, this is done through complaints management, which is now following up that process of complaints handling. The other aspect is on capacity building of public entities. So like such a case, now that we are here, we come and capacity build you so that internally, over and up, now that you have a committee, you can have a complaints handling committee. Since you had talked about you are the one who deals with complaints. You can have a committee that now sits and receives these complaints and redresses them or follow up on them and look for an amicable way of dealing with them. The other aspect is on public education and awareness. We also do a lot of awareness creation in terms of our services and in terms of how we work. I had brought some IC material, received a complaint from these students saying that they have been following up on their missing marks. There is no person, they have received no response. So what is your feedback? The institution writes back and says, on this date we wrote back to him, we referred him to the maybe the registrar, academics, maybe hakuenda. So from our end, we are like, you have already been guided by the university. Please follow the right channels. So it is just through that process of inquiry. But there are instances where the complaint is so grave that we need to do investigations. So the Act, the Commission on Administrative Justice Act, also gives us the powers to do investigation, to conduct investigation. So we'll come and to the institution, we'll sit down with the concerned people, do investigation, issue a report, and then we give our recommendations. So depending on the complaint that we have received, we will see whether to do an inquiry or an investigation. So some of the type of complaints that we received, I've said there is these are just pictorials where we see an old woman has gone to seek services from the pensions department. Now nauliza, I have been seen to be causing an injustice, because you'll see that in terms of the services that we offer as public officers, it is only us who can offer that service. In Nyahururu, in Isiolo, Garissa, and Meru and Makueni, we recently opened. In essence, it will reduce the complaints that we receive. And there's also the aspect of performance contracting, so that when you'll see that what you report on the number of complaints that you received, the actions that you have taken, how many have you resolved, so that we see how, as an institution, you have been able to benefit from the capacity building that we have had. So we have trained several institutions, both public, mostly public in terms of the certification of the performance contracting requirements. And also, we also do like audits to see, as an institution, you gave us a report saying that you have maybe 20 complaints or 50 complaints. Sometimes we do spot checks where we come and see the documents to see whether you are recording. And the reason why we do the recording of complaints is so that as an institution you can identify the issues that are within the institution, such that if you realize that you are receiving so many complaints from the maybe students, and maybe a department on academics. So watu academics mtakaa chini mujiulize, mbona hizi complaints ni mingi, shida ni nini? Ni watu hawajui, ni process zetu ni ngumu, ni sisi hatujawapea information, so that you can be able to reduce some of these complaints. So the other aspect is on awareness creation. We do a lot of awareness creation. We do outreach programs where we go to the ground to talk to the citizens. We have it's called Ombudsman Mashinani, where we go to the different counties, we set up a tent and take up their complaints, tell them about the commission, tell them about their right to access information, give them an opportunity to bring their complaints where they are. We also take part in media advocacy, either mainstream or vernacular. We have had several. I think recently our chair was in Kakamega, where he went to the radio station there to just tell people about the commission and tell them about our mandate. We also take part in SEK shows to also create awareness, and we are very present on our social media platform where we talk about our services and tell people on how they can reach out to us. We have developed so many of these IEC materials where once we go for outreach, we can be able to disseminate them. And we also do a lot of legal aid clinics in partnership with other institutions. So in terms of the advisory opinions, as I had said, we do a lot of advisory opinions, particularly on administrative issues, where we give feedback in terms of how best public entities can be able to deal with some of these issues. So some of this can be found on our website to just familiarize in terms of what are some of the aspects or the things that we have put out. As I indicated earlier, we also do public interest litigation, where matters that touch on public interests, and we were able to give a way forward. And finally, we promote constitutionalism. As constitutional commissions, we normally have forums where joint forums where all the chairs of all the commissions come together. They sit down and see how best they can be able to improve on service delivery. And we also are part of the National Council of Administrative Justice, NCAJ, where we sit as members, and together with the judiciary, the ODPP, there is the National Police Service, the complaints management has to come from the top. Na ni ile maneno ya kusema na kutenda, because ukisema tu kuna siku utapatikana. Si students wanamkanga tu dakika moja unastukia watu wali strike. So it's important for there to be that buy-in and that goodwill from management. Please don't hide behind the environment, systems or processes. Ile yenye kila wakati unasema hiyo tunangojea kukue clearance kutoka juu. Because some of these things, the more they stay, the more they escalate from a complaint to a full-blown conflict. It's important for you to encourage complaints. And even hata venye tulikuwa campus, tulikuwa naambiwa kuko na wale watu tunajua wanapenda kusumbua. Ukiaccommodate huyo mtu anapenda kusumbua, imagine atafika pahali aache kucomplain. Kwa sasa umemsolvia kila kitu. But the more una muzzle, the more unamempower. Sasa ndo wanaenda kucomplain, ona sasa hata wamekataa kunisikiza nini, sasa anaendelea kuchocha wengine. But if you are able to deal with that complaint, then you at some point now things become good. Hakuna complaints. Sasa tunakaa tu na see how we can maintain or even improve further. It's important, you should not set targets or pledges to reduce the number of complaints received, because hauna hiyo ability, because ujui mtu atacomplain nini. So target ya chwea si kusema ati last time nilituma 50, wacha this time tutume 20, ndio ionekane Joyce alikuja akatutrain tukakuwa wale wase. That is not the target. Complaints will always be there. It doesn't matter hata kama ni 1,000 ama ni 100. The most important thing is what have you done as an institution to ensure that you resolve the complaint. It's important for you to also listen to frontline staff when devising new arrangements. I've said you'll realize that these people hold very valuable information. Wewe ukikaa kwa ofisi yako, you don't know the challenges that they go through. But them, because they deal with the clients at that level, they are best placed to advise. So it's important for you to ensure when you're coming up with the process, you have to include them. Do not underestimate the challenges and stress that frontline staff handling complaints undergo. Hata sisi tunachoka. Juzi mtu alituanika kwa nini, alisema ati our receptionist is very rude.
In public institutions, it's rare to lack complaints or issues that spark debate, mainly due to the large population within such institutions, and this is where public service offices play a critical role. In response, Kenyatta University today organized a 2-day training aimed at sharpening the skills of its public offices on their obligation under the Access to Information Act, aimed at equipping them on how and what to disseminate alongside ways of resolving complaints raised.
We have had several complaints that have been brought to our office against the university. So they approached us and told us now that there are complaints and they want to be able to know how to deal with these complaints. They requested the commission to send us now to come here and train them.
On his part, the acting Vice Chancellor of Kenyatta University, John Okumu, through his representative, emphasized the importance of having clear communication procedures to improve service delivery, noting that a special committee has been formed to help achieve these objectives. According to Joyce Kihara, a legal officer in the Access to Information at the Commission on Administrative Justice, the training is particularly beneficial in fostering solutions between different generations.
In our training, we normally work with institutions to ensure that they cover the different generations in their unique circumstances, such that for complaints from maybe their older generation, those are people who are used to writing letters, they come to the institution and make a formal complaints. But when it comes to the young people, you see that they have embraced internet and the internet use in terms of raising their concerns. So whichever the generation type, we are preparing the institution to ensure that they include all of them in terms of the structures that they put into place to deal with complaints.
Joyce today joined Kenyatta University public servants in empowering them on the importance of establishing strong strategies for handling complaints within their sector,
to ensure that we capacity build institutions so that we can strengthen them to be able to create structures of dealing with complaints within the institution itself. So once we do continuous capacity building, they're able to empower themselves in how to deal with complaints and to effectively reduce the number of complaints that come into the institution.
As public officers continue participating in the training to gain skills, a call has been made for institutions to put in place effective mechanisms for addressing complaints. Watching Cynthia, KUTV.
All right, welcome back, and we are seated once again for another discussion right here on Biashara Tuesday. And right now I want us to take a look at a discussion on building sustainable herbal wellness brand right here in Kenya, or of course anywhere where you're willing to begin that. And helping us dig deeper into this discussion is Stella Njagi, who is the founder and CEO Spills of Eden. And this, of course, is to deal with, herbal things. But before we get deeper into that, allow me have Stella introduce herself. And of course, Stella, you'll also tell us what you do on your daily basis as an entrepreneur.
Yes, I'm called Stella Njagi. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a Kenyan. I own a company called Spills of Eden. It's all about nature. It's all about planting. It's all about soil. It's all about God. So we deal with creation, and then we take it to the human being to feed on the nature. And that's my joy. On my daily schedule, I think I read a lot. I go to my farm, I go to my office, and I speak to people. Yes.
All right. Now, when someone talks about, the herb, because I understand that it deals with, the herbal medicine and all that, therapy and all that.
Yes.
When someone talks about that, there is a controversy that always comes to the head. If you're in Nairobi, you've heard of the fake Maasai.
Yes.
Who walk with vibuyus and all that. And we've had stories of people saying, I took that and I really had a running stomach and all that. So yes. How do you separate yourself from, in the middle of this conversation, how do you separate yourself from fraud?
Now, since I'm an educated person, I did not want to enter into this business into a world I will not be able to answer questions. So the first thing I did, I studied. Fortunately, I lived in Uganda, where herbal medicine it's a common thing. So I was able to introduce myself, and I engaged myself in Makerere University, where they gave me a lot of knowledge. So I was able to understand what is poisonous, what is effective to the human being, what is should not be taken, what is bad for the liver, what is bad for the brain. So I got a lot of knowledge. So I went to school to learn this. Yeah.
And so far, what's the uptake? How are people taking the traditional medication?
I think since coronavirus came, everybody embraced natural healing because we actually realized that is what saved us. So we really don't talk about natural healing, and every home, everybody is practicing this ginger, small things. So I think everybody knows about natural healing now. Yes.
I think I'm also one of them because previously, that was before 2026, I really had a hard problem with ulcers.
Yes.
And I would take medication and all that, but the only thing that healed me, I don't know where my friend got the medication from, but I had herbal medication for around 14 days. And right now, I'm actually very okay. But now, this brings a question of regulation. How is the regulation like in the natural healing side of business? How does the government or what bodies ensure that there is regulation of this to ensure only those who are certified are able to have their products in the market?
Okay, there's an organization called the NAVEFA. NAVEFA controls the herbalists. They are the ones who know who is who. So we are registered. You have your certificate. From NAVEFA, we are enrolling ourselves in Nairobi University for an upgrade course. We are calling it the basic. From the basic, we are going to diploma. From diploma, we will go to university. So I think there are bodies who are regulating us, and we are very confident with them. We also have the Ministry of Culture. We also associate with them. And like today, actually, there's a very big conference at museum whereby they want to collaborate with us so that we can take the herbal medicine in the hospital. And to me, I'm very excited. Yeah.
And in this current generation, change is so much inevitable.
Yes.
How do you ensure that there is, scientific credibility in relation to this tradition that we are constantly running away from? How do you ensure that there is, a collaboration between the two?
Okay. Nairobi University always encourages us to do tests. So if I have a combination, or if I have a plant, I normally take it to Nairobi University. They support us so that they give us the scientific combination of every plant, the percentage of toxicity. So we are collaborating very well with the University of Nairobi. Yes.
And what are the plans of ensuring that there is trust in the public? Because as we began, I mentioned of the fake Maasais who sell on the streets, and also we've had the Ministry of Health issue a warning on those using herbs like you've heard of this, what is it called, mkobero?
Yes.
So there's also the scientific part where the nation's legal team is issuing warnings. How then do you ensure that there is trust among the public?
I would encourage actually everybody now to be taking us forward. Like now I'm here, so someone will know about me. So if we have groups and conferences and then attendance with the public, they would actually understand. And then there's another thing which people would really trust us if they know what we are planting, if they can see the real plant. So I would encourage every herbalist not to be carrying the powder in the container, but to have a small garden whereby you can educate the layman, the person who want to understand. This is rosemary, this is oregano, this is ashwagandha, this is mokobero, so that the person can associate themselves with. Yes, with what we do.
So it's more of publicity, there's less publicity in that. Now, there is the issue of publicity on one side, but then there's also a part where you as a business person, you're fighting for credibility issues, or to be authentic
yes.
to your customers with someone who is fraud? How do you ensure, or what is the challenge with that, ensuring that the competition between someone who is legit and someone who is not?
Like I said, we have NADEFA. So that is an umbrella which actually recognizes those who are legal, and there are those who are, I'm not saying they are illegal, but there are those who just pick the half from the forest, not actually from the forest. They get from somebody who has harvested. So someone tells you this is Mokovero, but you're not sure if that is Mokovero. So if we can be systematic on the source, and then we assure the customer this is legit, and then we associate ourselves with the bodies who are supporting us, I think we are good to go. Yes.
All right, now let's talk about the prevention part of having the herbal medicine or herbal wellness, for that matter.
Yes.
In the newspaper this morning, we were reading about a report by the Ministry of Health,
yes,
where it was saying that at the moment more people are dying from lifestyle diseases. Embracing this form of phytotherapy,
yes,
is it relevant in treatment, or is it also used in prevention also?
Yes. Now, prevention is very, very key. Prevention comes with us, the herbalist, telling you what to eat, especially now to tell you the plants you should eat when you're not sick. Like the moringa, you can do the vegetables. Like now we sensitize people how not to use chemical when you're doing your planting, even the maize, because the maize can just grow. So as the herbalists, we always encourage people not to use the chemical. Then from your plate, we are able to encourage you what to eat. If it is the skuma, we should use the indigenous skuma, the spinach, the indigenous vegetable from the Kisii. I believe when we talk about indigenous vegetables, they have the managu, but we have the improved managu. So we should use the indigenous so that we can prevent the diseases. Yeah.
From where you sit, do you think having the scientifically made medicine, is it harmful to us? Because there is this case where people are told that if you take too much of medication, painkillers and all that, you're injuring your kidney and all that. So how harmful is that compared to the traditional way?
Okay, let me talk out of my life testimony. When I was young, the Chogoria hospitals, it's when it was being launched, and my father was a clinic officer. And then when I got my measles, they tried to put me on penicillin, but the Dr. Ivan said this girl is reacting on antibiotics. And he was so curious, why am I reacting on antibiotics? So he tried Septrin and it didn't work. I was very young, but now my father was worried and he knew what was happening. So Dr. Ivan told him, why don't we introduce some plants? There are plants which can work like antibiotics. And actually he brought some plants to my father, and then they were curious, why was I reacting on antibiotics? So as I grew up, I knew I react on antibiotics. And I of course, as I grew, there was internet coming up. So I was so careful not to take antibiotics. And always my card used to read, I should never take antibiotics. And I actually have a son who reacts to antibiotics. And 2 times I actually took antibiotic and I was taken to ICU to be detoxed. So I believe, I'm not saying the other medicine is bad, but I'm a testimony. So as I grew up now, I met a certain doctor who actually encouraged me to be wearing silver so that I reduce my infection. And that is why I have 7 earrings of silver. So I'm very comfortable. So silver, it's part of, okay, as we now keep on talking, silver, simple silver It's a way of preventing us from sickness. So I have my 7 oaths. I know my 7 oaths are protecting me. I wear silver. And for sure, I would say conventional medicine cannot beat traditional medicine. Yeah.
I'm so interested in the silver prevention. I think I'll have to do more studies on that.
Yes.
And you champion sustainability and community empowerment. So how does your business model champion that environmental sustainability and the climate what do you call it, climate conservation and community empowerment?
Now, I work with so many groups. I work with some children in Kebra. These children, they come from their parents, and then we meet on Saturdays. We try to teach them about plants. Kebra, there's no plants, so we teach them about plants. I have a community whereby I teach plants. So I've gotten a place in Kilifi where I am doing plant conservation, the indigenous plants, and they also, plants give you oxygen. So I would encourage people like me. I go there for a week. I stay in the forest, and I've seen a lot of difference in my life. So conservation and working with plants, it's very important. Yeah.
All right. Now, when someone, I've just thought of what you mentioned earlier, of you as a testimony.
Yes.
When someone thinks of, herbal wellness, they think of instant results.
No.
How true is that?
Herbal is not instant. You see, like me, I always tell my clients, this disease took 5 years in your body to come and manifest in your body. So let's take like maybe a month and let's be patient to get it out. A herbal, it's not instant because herbal heals. It holds some. It's wholesome. It's not the pain reliever. It heals the body completely. Yes.
Can one use the herbal medicine together with the
yes. We always encourage people not to disconnect the conventional medicine because you see in the herbal medicine we have not tested the phytoscience of our products, but we've tested what the plant contain. So we always tell people, use your medication, use ours, let them go along. If you're fine, go to your doctor, discuss with your doctor. If he advises you to discontinue with your medicine, the better. Like me, actually, most of my patients, we visit their doctors together and we reason with the doctor. I give what I can give the doctor. We exchange with the doctor. I do so much with my patients because I trust the doctors too. Yes, the doctors also, the tests, they are very, very important. Because if I look at you like this, I can't tell you where you are ailing. But if you go to the lab, the doctor will give me the lab result. And now that we work with doctors. Yes.
Now, just like as you've said, you work with doctors.
Yes.
There is a narrative that goes on in the world that, herbalists have discovered the cure to cancer, herbalists have discovered the cure to, AIDS and all these chronic diseases.
Yes.
Do you find any resistance when, for example, you've discovered a type of herb that is probably going to treat a certain disease?
Yes.
Have you ever gotten any resistance trying to bring it to the public or to the market?
No, because I think I always do it with doctors. Sometimes you go to, I work with a certain surgeon. He's very educated. He loves herbs. It's only that maybe he cannot come this side. So when I go with such people and I talk to the public, they really trust us. Yes. And you see now, when we do it and maybe one person gets well, it's a gospel. So yeah, we do not, like personally, I don't have a problem. Yes.
Apart from okay, personally you don't have a problem,
Yes.
but on the legal side, have you ever gotten any resistance?
No. Yeah.
That's interesting. Then you're making strides as a world, because there are those instances where it has been mentioned that the world does not want you to know about this plant. It will treat you this and this and this.
Yes.
All right. Now, as we bring this to an end, what advice would you give to someone who wants to venture into phytotherapy business, or the herbal wellness, the entrepreneurship part of it?
Okay. this one, it's not a business. I would actually say this is not a business. This is something, a passion. You should start with loving plants. You should start with loving life. You should start with loving curing. You should love, I think, understanding God, because it's God who created all these plants. If you do that, I think you are set to go. And if you are starting this business, you must have a herbal garden. Because you see, the herbal garden will make you understand, how does this plant mokobero, how does it grow? What is the behavior? What, when it rains, does it dry? I think all those things, you need to concentrate on the farming of the herbs. Let us not be picking herbs from anywhere, because most of the people, they are business people. They can give you a mokopero, but it's not mokopero. So when you are treating someone, you are doing the wrong thing using the wrong plant. So I would always want anybody who want to venture into this business to know the source of the plant. Yes.
All right. Now, you've mentioned of having a garden. I know time is not on our side, but I'd like you to respond to this. How sustainable is it? Because if you're planning to expand and get to have more people onboarded on this traditional healing, that means you may need larger tracts of land, or larger gardens.
Yes.
How do you plan to ensure that you sustain this?
Herbs, they grow very fast. If you're doing herbs, like a dandelion will take like 3 weeks to mature. So you harvest it, grows again. So I think an acre would be enough. A half an acre would still be enough. Yeah, because you see, we use very little. If it is like basil, you'd still harvest a kilo in a small place. So long as you are taking care of it and you are keen on it has matured, let me harvest. I think we can make it, even if it is a small garden.
All right.
I don't have a big garden, and I have enough. Although I have a bigger garden, but a bigger garden now, it is for the bigger plants. Yes.
All right. Now, last words to our viewers as you tell them where they can find you, of course, and of course how they can get your products.
I'm located in Gong. That is where my factory is. My office is in Karen 31. That is opposite Java as you go to Gong Road. I'm also located in Kilifi, where we have a wellness center. It's a forest where you get everything. You can walk there. We do massage. We can do herbal bath. We do everything. We do our juices. We do everything. Karibu sana Kilifi. Yeah.
And someone who may not be able to get to Kilifi, how do they get to have your products?
I'm in Karen. I have an office in Karen. I'm mobile. I can give them my number. Yes, we distribute. We do online marketing. Yes, we deliver. We get to see our patients. Yes.
Where do they? Online,
we have Spills of Eden.
Oh, Spills of
Eden. Yeah,
across all social media platforms.
Yes, across all social media.
All right, thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Yeah,
and if you've had any controversial question on phytotherapy and herbal wellness, you can always get to them. I think you're open to responding to questions.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
At Spills of Eden, you can always get to ask those questions that you think we've not addressed right here on the show. Get to them, ask them, and also get to have an experience with the product. That has been on the launch. Coming up next is a discussion on the state of our nation.
baada ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili
bila uoga. Watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi. Hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
Hello everybody, I'm your host Yuri and this is KU Plug, the best entertainment and nightlife show Kenya has to offer. Only here in KUTV, and since it's the first episode, let me introduce you kidogo to what we are about. We have Tubonge, where we have conversations with nightlife personalities, DJs and creatives. We have the night shift, where we document Kenya's vibrant nightlife, DJs, events, artists and culture. We have Banja, capturing raw public opinions on trending topics, views and experiences. Na KU Plug sio KU Plug bila kukosa the plug, where we spotlight underground talent, student businesses, fashion trends and viral movements. And finally, Behind the Tent, a cinematic behind the scenes of music videos, film sets, photo shoots, events and hustle stories. So, let's dive in.
Alhamdulillah, tumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu Azza wa Jalla, ameweza kutujalia tena mwaka huu, mwaka 2026, kuingiliwa na mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhan, mwezi wa baraka, mwezi wa neema, mwezi wa mambo teletele ambayo kwamba tukiyashika basi tutafaulu. Mwenyezi Mungu atujalie tuweze kukubaliwa katika Ramadhani hii. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now we are just about to take a look at the state of our nation, and of course this involves the discussion of stories in our newspapers this morning. Helping us understand this discussion is our very own Ojwang Mariam. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Asante sana, my sister, and I'm grateful and honored to be here. You've come from a very timely conversations on the future of how we can make our lives better in terms of health matters. There was a time we were talking about indigenous vis-a-vis GMO and such conversations. Mm-hmm. Day in, day out, we are seeing new information, new researches. People are deep world of phytotherapeutics, and in future Kenya will be sustainable. My name is Ojwang Mtoto wa Mariam, Senior Warrant Officer 1 or Lieutenant Kanali. People call me Mkenya, Kenyanai, lakini ukenya wake usiukenye kenye, because I'm a communications expert, community leader, marketing think tank, peace, PWD inclusive and sustainability advocate. Mm-hmm. I'm honored to be here to discuss the state of the nation.
Karibu sana. Just on the same note that we've left the previous discussion that we're having, we have the Daily Nation. They're saying unhealthy mix inside the diseases and systems failure driving preventable deaths. What's killing Kenyans? And they're saying that non-communicable diseases, including heart diseases, diabetes, cancer, and mental health conditions, now account for nearly 40% of all deaths in Kenya. And I'm glad that they're including mental health as a disease. For a long time, we've wanted the mental health considered a disease, but you know the previous generation was saying that, you know, wewe unahitaji viboko. They had therapy. Like mental health was not considered a disease, and they're saying that infectious diseases like malaria, TB, and HIV also continue to take a toll on families. And uncommunicable diseases now kill as many Kenyans as infectious diseases. In 1990, hospital beds serving 7,500 people. 2023, one hospital bed serving 10,000 plus people. They have given statistics on how this happened. What do you think, Ojwang, is the cause of all this? Is it carelessness from consumers, or is it negligence from authorities? And in this sense, where unregulated products get into the country and are used by consumers. We've had the edible oil scandal, we've had, you know, pesticide scandals and all that. So is it negligence from the authorities, or is it negligence from consumers?
I think both of them are part of what I would call the real disease, or the real cause of all these deaths, which today has been included as mental health. Mental health in the olden days, I wouldn't say that old, but in the olden days was considered either a spiritual taboo, something to do with that a witchcraft has done something on you. But as we continue being educated, we get to learn that it is also not a problem for the poor. Because there was a time we were being told ukipata shida za mental health, wewe ni uzembe inakusumbua, that bipolar ni shida za wazungu, hii yako ni kutojielewa. But that mental health is the greatest cause, because you could have a heart disease and survive. You could also have what we are calling the infectious diseases and still survive for a very long time. It is all in the brain. It is all in how are you seeing these things, the perspective, because they're not really there. We attract them. We bring them into our bodies. For example, a person like our emerging female media personality 2 years ago was struggling with ulcers, doing all that kind of medication of people who have gone to school, well-read, well-educated, degrees, masters and PhDs, to come up with medicines that did not help you. Mm-hmm. But when you just did experience the natural medicine, which is the herbals, you got healed. Mm-hmm. It was in the mind. You told yourself that this is the cure, and it got to be the cure. We've had other people that have been talking about spiritual gifting, like praying. I'll talk about people like Dr. Awor, who has believed in praying for people, and these people get healed. But we've also seen people who have been prayed for, gotten healed, and still got sick again. For example, there is a Meru man called Macarena. Macarena walks on a wheelchair, and he was prayed for by Dr. Awor. But then he realized, it's like, I've been feeding from this kind of sicknesses, and he went back to that. Yeah. So we as a people, if we are able to take care of our mental health, then we will be able to treat each other better. When we treat each other better, it means we will have reduced cases of sicknesses coming in, or increased cases of sicknesses that have been healed. Because nowadays, even our doctors do not have goodwill. Utaingia hospitali, unakalishwa kwa line, unapata kitanda, unakalishwa kwa kitanda, alafu kidogo kidogo ndio wanakuambia, manze na uko na kansa fulani hapo hivyo inahitaji milioni 10. Na kama hauna, utaishia. We go back to the community, we start fundraising, we do harambes, we get 5 million, and then you die. Mm-hmm. But we've also had cases of people who are in comas, in ICUs, and they have come back to life. Mm-hmm. An example is a former SG Jubilee Party, Raphael Tuju. He has been in situations that are death-stricken. For example, he was involved in a road accident where he broke almost all his ribs, including the vertebrae, but he was able to make it out alive. The mental power to tell your body that you can do it. is needed for us to be able to counter these statistics.
All right, now still on health, we have a situation with the Coast General where we had the CEO released of his duties, and now we have the doctors union saying or giving a 7 days strike notice, and that's on the Daily Nation. And they gave a strike notice, 7 days, saying that they will pull out all their members from the hospital. We also have on the other side the public saying that the hospital has really been performing poorly, and if at all they want to leave the office, they should leave immediately. They should not even wait for the 7 days. So we have a standoff. We have the doctors saying that the CEO should be reinstated, and we also have the public saying that, you know, if he gets back to this hospital, then it's better hospitali ifungwe, kila mtu ende nyumbani. But then the reason why he's ousted, according to the political leadership or the leadership of Mombasa, they're saying that it's because the public has been complaining via social media and all these other platforms, saying that service delivery in the hospital is really poor. We also have another situation, I think it's in the western part of the country, where a woman went to deliver and then she was forced to deliver, and then her organs ruptured as she was delivering. And then at the end of the day, they were saying that, you know, you cannot deliver here. We are taking you to for a cesarean, and then she passed, and the baby also passed. We also have at the same time the Ministry of Health saying that they are going to be having a 3-month campaign to ensure that maternal deaths are reduced in the country close to zero. And it's a case that we are talking of negligence in the health sector. So in as much as there are chronic diseases that are leading to, you know, all these deaths, we also have the part where the public is blaming the health professional or health professionals of negligence and failing to, you know, do their work diligently. What's your opinion on the same, of course, on the state of our health situation in the country?
Diligence is a personal matter to everyone. Imagine when we are discussing about how Kenyans are lacking service delivery in hospitals. We are a country of 48 million Kenyans. We need, according to the Daily Nation, 37,392 doctors to take care of this population. But currently, we have 4,272 only. These doctors are not enough. They are way less, but they are still underpaid. But goodwill. The doctors are not taking care of the interest of their patients. They are after their own interests. And when their interests have not been met, they will decide to do business. And when they call medicine business, then it means it's a business of making sure your health is not okay so that I can gain. That is where you hear that we have some vaccines for HPV, but really what they are doing is they're injecting HPV, and it is affecting our ladies in the future. For example, most of the Gen Zs right now are affected by the issue of being attracted to the same sex because of this HPV vaccine that was being given to ladies around 13 to 18 years to ensure that they are preventing human papillomavirus. But when these doctors have the interests of the patients or Kenyans at heart, they will force strikes everywhere. Demonstrations and protests that are not only after their own interest. It is okay for these doctors to demand for better pay. But what do you do when you get better pay? You give better service delivery. For example, we are talking about the issues in Coast, where a CEO is being sent away and others want him back, others don't want that to happen. That is only one person. What about the rest of the staff in that hospital? Why Why can't they give the people of Coast service delivery? It is because of goodwill. We've talked about in the Western region where cases of negligence are happening among the medical staffs. I'm talking about people like nurses. In this population of 48 million Kenyans, we require or we really need 281,472 nurses. But we have only 48,672 nurses to take care of all 48 million Kenyans. It is unfair to us from the government. It is unfair to us from the nurses who are not able to stand to that pressure, because it is a pressure. But it should be an obstacle they are seeing as a stepping stone to make sure that humanity heals, because we have the power of giving our community a healthy environment. Other states in other countries are affording to do this. It's just a matter of goodwill. We can do it, Sylvia, if we really want to do it.
But when I look at the doctor situation in the country, we are talking of a shortage of doctors of, this is around 200,000. Not around 200, around 260,000 of nurses, because they're talking of 240,000. They're talking of Kenya needs 281,472 nurses, but currently we are having 48,672. So that's a shortage of above 200,000 nurses. But at the moment, we have nurses moving out of the country, going to work in other countries. You know, the bilateral labor agreements that we're having. So is it wrong for someone to look at their welfare, the pocket welfare? Because if I am going to work in a different state and I'm being paid better, considering in currently, because the doctors themselves are saying that it's a political witch hunt. And is it wrong for me to look at my personal interests?
It is not wrong to look at your personal interests. Even the Bible itself, for the Christians, clearly states that for you to be able to love your neighbor, you have to be able to love yourself first. For you even to be able to love your partner, you have to be able to love yourself first. Otherwise, when you don't love yourself, then you will just be seeing the fault in other people. You'll not be seeing the goodness in other people. So love yourself, take care of your interests. But what do you do after that? You've taken care of yourself. You've gotten, maybe, let's say, empowered. What do you do with that? And what is the goal of you taking care of yourself? It is to have more energy to take care of others, because we all live in the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are. There is no you without us. There is no Sylvia without a mother or a dad who came together during conception. There is no Sylvia without a community, including nurses and doctors whom they call wakunga when you are coming to this world. There is no Sylvia without teachers who educated you to this level. There is no Sylvia without friends who have formed your mindset, how to deal with people, how to do business and such kind of things. I am because we are. Take care of your interest first. It's okay. But once you are done with that, remember that this humanity is still in your hands. The Bible also says that we are young gods. It means that we are created in image and likeness of God. If I am a God and I've taken care of my interests, why don't I then try and serve the world?
All right, so you're taking this on doctors, not anyone else. All right, now let's move on to something different. I hope we don't have the doctors on strike.
They are constantly on strike. It is the reason we are not hearing this is because people are not talking about it. But I am a witness. I have been around Nairobi hospitals, including the biggest hospitals like Mama Lucy and Bagavi Hospital, and week in, week out, doctors are on strike. You may be given an appointment today, you go, but that appointment will have to be pushed to an unknown date. And they will tell you when the doctors are not on strike, they will tell you. When the doctors come out of strike, they will not tell you. When you go back, you will hear they are on strike. This is what is happening in the ground. Do not be fooled by the politics that is happening. But unfortunately, politics is the cause and still the healing part of all this.
All right. Now, let's move on to the Bold Newspaper Standard. They're talking of shameless CSs, and also another story on the United Opposition, which is currently pitching camp in the Gusii land. just to get your sentiments, of course, regarding the current political temperatures in the country. We have everyone on campaign mode, and we have the regulatory body that is supposed to be telling them to tone down. Wamenyamaza. Wanaacha kila mtu endelee na shughuli zake. I don't know why I'm always reading too much on everything, but then I am thinking that this is something that is strategic, because all these leaders, they know, they are aware that it's not the right time for them to be having campaigns. They are aware that it's time that we are supposed to be questioning them on their delivery. We are supposed to be asking them, wewe umefanya nini, wewe umefanya nini. But also I understand that sometimes negative news spreads faster than positive news, and they might have done good things, but then why having to intensify campaigns at this moment when it's not yet the right time for campaigns? When are they working? That's the question, or that's the narrative that the Standard are having this morning when talking about shameless CSS. But then again, you can't have the opposition campaigning and then you're not campaigning, because if you're having someone constantly talking bad about you, definitely you'll need to have to defend yourself or something. So is it something that is strategic to have opposition running earlier to blind us Kenyans on what is really happening, or is it just okay because we've been been political since 2022? I've never seen a week that we are not talking about politics in this country. Even if the president is out of the country, we'll still talk about our taxpayers' money that he has used to travel to that foreign country.
I think the bold newspaper, The Standard, has been unfair on one Geoffrey Ruku, CS Public Service, when they are talking about shameless CSs, because he has been a Ruto man since day one, since 2022. But when you look at people like John Mbadi and the CS who calls others Baladuri, Hassan Joho, and the energy CS who has a lot of energy right now to praise Ruto, or Pio Wandai, I think these three would feature well in that conversation of shameless CSs, because they are coming from that opposition, and opposition has been asking for accountability for long, including them. When people like the then Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho was talking about how President Ruto is a Baradhuli, is because of the promises that he gives to people of how they will drive the economy using a wheelbarrow. But today he is in that economy of wheelbarrow, and they are not driving economy today. It's an orange. It's an orange, and they are fighting so much to have full part of it. But then campaigns is just a tool for us to understand how we don't respect the law, because since 2022 we have been in campaign, yet IEBC keeps saying we have not started campaigns yet, including myself. I campaign nowadays because everyone is campaigning. But down there we're having the united opposition storming Gusiland to do what? To decampaign. So when the government is campaigning, the opposition has to be there to decampaign. Decampaigning is that what we are calling seeing the ills of others, that huyu mtu ametuulia watoto in 2024, of which is okay. The question is, why do Kenyans keep forgetting such that they have to be reminded always?
But my real question is not even the decampaigning part of it. My question is, can't Kenya have a different set of campaigns where we are talking of real issues? Because if I listen to this faction that they're calling themselves United Alternative Government, they're talking of, oh, baba alituacha tukiwa hivi. Not baba alituacha. They're talking of we are progressing what baba taught us. We also have this other team, the broad-based government, where they're saying that, baba alituacha kwa serikali. We also have this other faction that keeps saying that, this is a one-term man, he has done this, he has done this, mentioning all the bad things. But then my question is, why can't we shift as a nation? Why can't we shift our mode of politics to the agenda politics? Like, for example, those who are left in government, don't they have their own minds to think for themselves? Must they go with the late man's thinking? Don't they? They're all learned. They're lawyers. They're big people. Can't they have their own thought process? And now, to this other faction that they're saying we are leaving, we are moving on to what Baba taught us. I've listened to what they have to say on these campaigns. It's all Baba alituacha tutetee wananchi, but I'm not seeing them really wanatetea wananchi. It's just for vibes. Baba ametuacha tutetee wananchi. Where are they tetearing this wananchi? Sorry for butchering English. But where is this happening? You'll see them go to funerals of those where the victims are affected, saying that they will ensure justice. We'll hear them causing chaos. This is on the United Opposition, sorry for this faction, saying that they're demanding to see the Inspector General. How is them seeing the Inspector General going to solve, the issues that they themselves caused? Because I'm seeing a situation where we are having politics that are really propaganda, what incites our emotions, but not really what is relevant or what is necessary.
It's the politics of emotions versus politics of agenda. Civilized countries are practicing the latter, politics of agenda. We are still young when it comes to matter civilization as a country. And that is why Kenya's politics is heavily based and rooted in emotions, either selling emotions, buying emotions, or being married to emotions. It is not a bad thing. It is just we don't know how to use it. Because even the agenda themselves, if we want to talk about them, they are agendas touching emotions. If we are talking about the agenda of promoting quality education, we are promoting quality education to have an emotion of peace, to have an emotion of love. Such kind of we still speak to the emotions. It is just that Kenyans are not fully aware of how to use that. The problem still lies with us. For example, I've had youngsters like Morara talking about like Kenya, there is no solution. Why? The oppressor, who in this case is President Ruto, has his following. Those who are fighting the oppressor are our oppressor's AD. For example, the embattled second DP of this country, Rigiji, and the embattled former AG and the former Speaker of the National Assembly, they were part of those people who brought Ruto to the presidency. So, are we Kenyans really, really ready to put in a third wave to State House?
Okay.
A third wave that could be of youngsters like Edwin Sifuna and people like Babu Owino, people like Ndende Nyoro, people we have seen their futures based on their yesterday and their today.
Okay. Now, the director is really talking to me about Masai Maisha. I think we should end it from there. We'll have more of the discussion because politics is not ending right now and there is nothing new that they're doing. What they have done this week is the same thing that they will do next week, probably Kenyan politics. What they have said this week is probably what they're going to be saying next week. So I hope we'll have them held accountable and have their rallies and have real agendas, not rallies where they're telling us, yo, Ruto alifanya, Ruto alifanya. We all know that alifanya. What have they done to stop that? That's something that they should be telling us. Thank you so much, our dear viewer back at home, for staying with the KUTV Rise Today, Biashara Tuesday on this 24th day of February 2025. My name is Anyango Sylvia. Until next time, it's bye from us.